Today, Amos Cheruiyot is on call. We're speaking with Amos, our education ICT and e-learning technical specialist, and the mind behind AI integration across our learning systems. From AI-driven case studies to open-source learning platforms, he shares how technology is transforming the way we teach, learn, and deliver care. We'll also explore the safeguards we've put in place to ensure AI is used responsibly. Join us as we dive into the future of healthcare, one smart solution at a time. In your field, how do you use AI?
Oh, man, AI is now my life. Honestly speaking, and having talked about, education space, one thing that I love, or rather I advocate for, is integrity in learning. When AI came in, trust to me, as one of the people who never had to request it, because around here I've already implemented the e-learning. We do exams online. And then all of a sudden there's AI. And it gives you solutions like, if you just get a chance to use it, then that's an A+.
Yeah.
Like yeah. And I was really worried. But where we are right now, I'm pro AI.
Okay.
Because it is where we are going.
All right. Do you feel like students use it to cheat? Is it cheating?
At the moment, I no longer think it that way. Because I try to relate it to the way I did my learning, especially when I was in the undergrad. Every other time I was looking for a resource online, I would search for example, maybe calculus. I would say calculus 2 PDF, right? For them, they no longer need to do that. They actually ask ChatGPT and they get a resource related. For example, if it's someone who wants to know about anything, say hydrocephalus, say basic nursing, you just search and you get very many resources directly. Actually, AI has already done that for you. Yeah. So if we have to fight it, then I think we are losing what we should be doing.
Sure.
Yeah. But again, now speaking of AI, I think we'll come back to myself, but in your area. And now we have AI in 2025. The other day I was talking to students and I was telling them, it's 2025. Initially, those days one of the things that I did as gigs when I was in campus again is building websites for people. And one of the things that we used to ask a client is, give us the information about yourself. Give us pictures. We need to display them in the website. And in 2025, you no longer have to ask that. You ask AI to generate for you something that is similar to what they think they do. You know what I'm saying? If it's someone who sells, say, someone who's in business, probably, and they are selling, say, even drugs, someone who has a chemist or a pharmacy. You want to display the drug, the paracetamol, all that, AI will generate. AI will generate images. But now with you and being a storyteller, I don't know how you feel.
AI is useful. It's very useful, but it depends on how you use it. For instance, in our environment, in the hospital environment, we really rely on credibility. So sometimes you need to use an actual doctor who is well-known, as opposed to AI generating just a generic doctor. So if I do a story using, let's say, Dr. Ntumba. Dr. Ntumba is well-known. He has won awards in Africa, globally. Yeah. He's well-known. So if I use his image, or I do a video with him promoting a certain service, plastic and reconstructive surgery, it will have some credibility. People will relate to it because they know him, they trust him. Maybe some people have gone through his hands, right? So we come up with a storyline, but then AI will help us to be more strategic on how we want it to sound. It can give us various options. Then we can discuss which one sounds better, which one is more direct to, our target audience. Speaking of that, you recently took a course in simulation training.
Yeah, medical simulation instructor.
Medical simulation instructor.
Yeah.
So basically you're shadowing your dad.
Yeah, I'm already an instructor.
You're basically an instructor.
Yeah.
So tying that with AI, do you feel like simulation can be better with AI integrated?
Oh man, yeah, a lot. We talk of what we refer to as high fidelity mannequins. The high fidelity mannequins that are available in the market, probably there are some that are upcoming with AI, but the ones that are coming with now the AI being stable, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. It will change the world. It will actually reduce the technical bit of it, because in as much as we have the high fidelity mannequins at the moment, with the concept of AI, We can even have them responding to triggers, even without necessarily having an intervention from the back end of it. So it's a game changer. And even in terms of building scenarios, because one of the things that we try to do in simulation, and it's even from the training, is to build a case. What you want to do is you want students to come into the simulation room and learn something out of that, right? Be it a technical skill or a non-technical skill, but they must come out of it learning something. And the reason why we do simulation is because we want people to do as much mistakes in the simulation room instead of doing it in a patient. So we give them room to do that. But to give them room to do as much simulations as possible, we need as much cases as possible, meaning a case that can help you learn probably even how to intubate a patient or probably how to do a chest operation. And recently I was doing just an overview of what AI can do, and it's so interesting. It can, I found a few tools in AI already that can build you an entire script of how you're going to run a particular simulation and get students learning about whichever skill you want them to learn. I mean, it's a game changer. When it was 2020, we never had such things. We had to handwrite a case, like from A to Z, to everything that the student is supposed to do. If this one fails, this is supposed to do. And that one, we did it off the mind for the people who did them, the likes of Josh and Phyllis and Emmanuel. They did it totally in a manual way, where you need to think of a scenario. The students need to learn this. And with AI, you can tell them what do you want students to learn, and you can get a case already and you simulate it, and you simulate it as much as you want, and students get to learn a skill from the same. So AI is a game changer in simulation.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. Would you know the next intake for that course?
We should be having around February next year is when we'll be having an intake. But normally what we do is we post it in the website. So if you get to the website, you should be able to see a list of courses that we'll be doing. We'll have the medical simulation instructor and several other courses in simulation that we offer. And they are very interesting courses for anyone who wants to do a simulation training. They are very, very interesting courses. You should be able to attend one. And at least, even if it means bringing your students on board, if you're in another college or another institution, you're very much welcome. You just need to get to the website and get a booking, and then you'll be able to access our simulation and get your students learning something from the same.
All right. So in your e-learning role, how have we integrated AI?
Interesting. I told you one of the things that was giving me sleepless nights, and when we started, when AI got into the world, is students are going to cheat on exams, and we are going to produce students who have just graduated out of AI and ChatGPT. And you've seen even online, some students are saying they graduated, it's ChatGPT supported, but it's because we never had countermeasures of the same. And we got together ourselves, me, Dr. Pete, Halstap, and Elijah. We thought about it, and we thought, and especially now in the e-learning courses that we do for CPD, because what we do, they are open. We don't even have any sort of, you see the way we normally block sites so that we don't open another tab. For that, it's an open quiz. It's MCQs, probably 5 or 10 MCQs. When you do that CPD course, you have the MCQs, and what those MCQs, so the MCQs, they're just the normal MCQs. You'll have a question and 4 answers. But if it's an open test, meaning you can open another tab and open ChatGPT, then it means you can copy the questions and paste and get the answer. Probably you'll do that test in less than 5 minutes, in less than even 3 minutes, because there are probably 10 questions. And what we did was to think of a way that instead of asking ChatGPT to answer a question for you, we made AI to ask you a question. So what we did is we trained a model. We trained an open AI model. And what we did, we trained it to the Ministry of Health guidelines, the Kijabe Hospital guidelines, which are very many of them, and the WHO guidelines. So what it does is, and the transcripts, because what we do with our courses, the courses that we do in e-learning, we record videos. And once we record that video, probably someone talking about a given topic, say sore throat or say heart failure or whichever course, we pick that transcript, the same, and we use it to train our model. What happens with this model is, so we've already even integrated with our e-learning platform. So what it does is you will do a pre-test, of course, the MCQs, which you can use ChatGPT if you want. You will listen to the video. Once you listen to the video, after the video, we'll have an AI-generated case for you based on the topic. Based on the topic. So, for example, if it is a TB, if it is a course on TB you are doing, you will do the pre-test, you will watch a video on the TB, and then you'll have an AI interaction where the AI is generating a case for you. It's telling you there's this patient, it's called Kamau, he's 60-year-old, he's coming with condition A, B, C, D, probably he has problem breathing or difficulty in breathing. What is your differential diagnosis? It's asking you a question, remember, instead of asking it. So it asks you a question and leaves you a box so that you answer it. And then if you answer it wrongly, what it does is it tells you that if it's a wrong answer, it will tell you that can be a possibility, or that it's totally impossible, and an explanation of the same. And then it will prompt you a second question and a third one, 8 questions. So what it does is, instead of actually giving you choices, it keeps you thinking, what will you do for this patient honestly? And if this is what you thought for this particular case that is generated, then it is wrong based on an explanation that's given you. So you realize we are using AI not to give you answers, but to give you questions to help you think and understand more in that particular topic you're doing. And then after that is when now you can be able to do a post-test. And when you're doing a post-test after having an AI interaction, it's smooth. You get what I'm saying? Because now your thinking is on another level.
Going back to the point where you were saying you trained AI
model.
I was watching news, BBC News the other day, and they were talking about a phenomenon that is going on online, a non-clinical term that they have coined a term called AI psychosis, whereby AI will make you believe things that are not true.
It's true.
They'll be telling you whatever you want to hear, even if it's fallacy.
That's true.
So how sure are we that the AI model that you have trained is actually giving facts and not just telling people whatever they want to hear?
Interesting. And it's a very interesting question. And I think that is why then we need to now train. One of the things that I have to do myself as a goal is in the academic space, we even need to tell people which AI models to use for a given task. Because what happens, we might be knowing AI, and we know that ChatGPT exists, Gemini, all these, we have Grok, we have all these AI models, but we need to tell people which model to use for a given purpose. And for the specification you mentioned, we have models that have been trained for a given task. We have models that have been trained for purely research. We have models that have been trained for purely statistics. Right? People are training models for a specific task. And for ourselves, we picked an open AI model and we trained using the WHO guidelines, the MOH guidelines, Kijabe Hospital guidelines, and the transcripts of all the recordings we do. Once we've trained that for the same, again, we are very careful in integrating with whichever course we are publishing. For example, if we publish a course on diabetes, it's prudent to integrate because we have Kijabe Hospital guidelines on diabetes. We have guidelines that are there in MOH and WHO, right? And on top of that, we have the transcript. But for a course that, for example, you publish a course like ECG interpretation, ECG interpretation is the way you interpret the electrocardiogram, the images. We don't really have a guideline for the same. In such a situation, for such a course, we are very careful not to do it, not to integrate, because we'll integrate and then our model will not have such knowledge. You know what it will do? To pull information from other sources, because the rule that it has is if it doesn't find knowledge about that particular course in the resources we've provided, then it will pull it elsewhere. And if that happens, then we are shooting ourselves on the foot, because then now that means we are lying to ourselves.
It may not give us the correct information. So do you feel like in Kijabe, there are other areas that we could utilize AI? Do you feel, I know, for instance, for us on the website, we have the chatbots. We use AI to generate some videos, for instance, promoting the neurology, pediatric neurology services. We created a cartoonish, sort of an animation, speaking in Kiswahili. It's interesting what AI can do. But is there other areas that you feel like we can integrate AI in the hospital?
Very many areas, but mainly, I think specifically research, because one of the things that I've been doing in the past few days is to just see how much you can do with AI in research. And that doesn't mean that you give your research topic to ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok. No, doing research in the correct way, getting references. Probably, for example, I was looking at some of the models that I've looked at. For example, there's a model, it's called AI to paper. What it does is you your literature review question, and it gives you a pool of all the papers that are available for research. You get what I'm saying? In that case, we are using AI to do research, but not necessarily in sort of like cheating manner. You're doing genuine research, but you're using AI to help you can achieve that. There are very many other QI projects we can do with AI, honestly speaking, in every aspect, because AI is here to stay. If it was 2020, we could still be talking about AI is not here to stay, but it's 2025. AI is here to stay. We need to think of every single area we can automate with AI. Yeah, you're seeing people are even going to robotics now. Yeah, it's crazy and it's happening, and it's where we are going. And I think it's important that we start thinking of how we can improve our practices and the way we do things around with AI. Of course, there's been a lot of discussion on, and especially this being a corporate, we can have very many AI models in the same institution running at the same, and it might look very chaotic. So there's that aspect of it, but it's prudent. We just have to go the AI.
Do you feel like in every department there's something they can do with AI? For instance, in surgery, I know there are other institutions that are already started using AI in surgery. Maybe we should get to one of our surgeons here as well to speak on the same. So for instance, maybe in the maintenance department, do you feel like there's an area they can utilize AI?
Interesting, man. I don't know, I think, was it an ad or something? I listened to very many things, but I think there's a place I had that the person who was speaking in that particular voice was like, AI can replace all these other things, but it can't replace a plumber. Yeah. Or someone who does masonry. He was very, very honest with that. Yeah. For example, I mean, someone who does welding, man. Yeah. Okay, it can
actually.
I've seen some.
It can. But then again, it has to be programmed with somebody. It has to be,
it can.
Command.
Okay. Honestly speaking, I think AI has a part to play in every department.
Exactly.
Honestly speaking, in every department, there's a way that AI can improve a process. Of course, it comes with a cost. Because, for example, if we are to adopt AI, for example, in the maintenance for someone who's doing welding, then we need to give him a very powerful computer probably to do a design, and then we can have the robot arms doing some stuff. But it's very, very possible to integrate AI in every space. But it doesn't mean that because we don't have the resources to do that, we cannot do. We can do the very little and then the very minimal. Because I know a guy who's inside Kijabe who's already trained a model to give what you call a meal plan for those patients who have the nutrition. I think he built something for nutrition team that they can be able to, you see, when you go to the nutrition clinic, you're told you're supposed to take this amount of carbs, proteins, and all that. He's already done a model that can be able to define what percentage of whichever
that's
awesome. You need. Yeah.
Now, as much as AI has so many benefits that we're already benefiting from, and more to come, there's always the other side of the coin.
Yeah. There's, honestly, myself, if you were to ask me, the biggest challenge that I see, and especially in the healthcare space and education specifically, in as much as we use AI to enhance learning, there's that aspect of we really need to read the books. Yeah. Right? If you were to ask the AI to give you the anatomy of the skin, it will give you in a very vague way. You get what I'm saying? It will be in a very much summarized way in terms of it will be at a summary, unless you dip down to the exact resource it got that information and read. But if you were to read it at a glance, just to answer an exam, then in that situation, honestly speaking, if I was to take you back to your university, myself, there's a lot that I did. For example, I did, and I told you I did statistics, mathematics and computer science. There are very many units that I did. You cover, I remember in 4th I did a unit called Fourier series. Fourier series is a lot of mathematical calculation. Yes, I had to understand it to pass the exam, right? But if I was told this is where the exam will come from, of course, I had to understand the core of it all the way to how it goes, right? And that aspect, it helps me understand, you get what I'm saying? You're not at the top layer, you're understanding the real thing, right? Okay. And with AI, if you just read the vague bit of it, the summary of it, then you don't get to the main course of, you see, when you hit a bone and you get to the bone marrow, you don't get to the bone marrow. For example, if you're in anatomy, if you rely on AI, unless you read real books, like you get to the reference of where AI is getting information. I think that's the biggest challenge I see People will just be reading vague information, and they need to be very, very careful to get to where that info is coming from in terms of reference and read books. The other challenge, of course, in healthcare, I don't think we can really replace the healthcare workers.
Yeah.
So we cannot talk about replacement. The biggest challenge that is coming actually is infrastructure.
Yeah. Is actually, I was doing some research the other day, and so many people in the US are complaining about the data centers, the AI data centers that utilize a lot of electricity.
Yeah.
So you find that if you're living within the proximity of the data centers, your electricity bills spike.
Yeah.
Now, as we continue getting more AI tools and all that, obviously data centers will
increase. Yeah.
increase.
Yeah, we were discussing, I was in a meeting and we were talking about, I don't think we have a legit data center in Africa yet, but it's coming. But in as much as we talk about the Africa, even as an institution, at some point we need to have a data center for ourselves where we can train models to help us, automate things with AI internally, and realize that's a cost.
Yeah.
And it's coming. It's not like we are running away from it. We'll need resources, servers especially, to train models that can be able to help us internally. And that is one of the things that we need. And as much as we're excited about the same, we need to keep up with the pace.
Yeah.
Institutions will come and they'll have their models trained internally. But if we don't have our own models trained internally, you know what it means? We are redundant. It's 2025. I tell people, if you don't embrace technology, you're sick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have no choice. We have to embrace AI.
Yeah.
I think this is recurrent in almost all technology that has come before AI. If you remain behind,
you're left.
Exactly. Kijabe Hospital is a well-known faith institution, and we integrate faith in all we do. In fact, that is one of our modes. Do you think AI can also be integrated in faith?
Yes. Very much well. Very much well. Sometimes we want to expose it, the Bible, we want to expose it, whichever book we want to expose it. There are many references that can help you expose it, a given book, if you get help with AI. And one good thing about it, if you use the best tool, you don't necessarily have to use ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok. There are models that are meant for research. For example, when you talk about exposition, what you're doing is typically doing a research on a given book, right? Sure. You can use the trained models for research, and you can be able to find what was happening in Luke, right? What was the reason why? What was everything that was happening in Luke was happening? And you get, if you use the correct AI tool, then it means you get even to see the references. You know what I'm saying? You will see the references where that particular AI model is bringing or getting that information from, and you read and you get to understand. It's easier and faster, right? It's making things easier and faster. And considering, again, it's 2025.
All right, so as we conclude, maybe give an encouragement to our colleagues. For instance, if there's anybody who still hasn't started using AI or exploring this area, tell them something.
Oh man, I tell my students this all the time. If you don't learn to use AI in 2025 and to embrace technology as it should be, this is what I tell my students, exactly that. People are using technology to solve problems, and then you are there feeling sorry for yourself. And nobody is denying anyone any resource available online. In fact, when you talk about AI, of course there are some which are paid, but how many of them are free? Very many of them, right? People are training models which are free every day, and if you don't embrace them, then you know what happens? 5 years down the line, you'll start hating yourself because of yourself, I think.
Even as we encourage people to use AI, I think it's important to train them on how to use AI. I think in our education system, we need to add something like that. It should be a basic training.
It should be part of the curriculum, I think. I think we should actually think of incorporating it in our curriculums, especially in the entire education division. I think it's one of the things that we need to embrace. And even I think as we get to improving something like our HMIS and integrating with AI, it will be part of the trainings that we do so that people learn to use AI. Because it's the way to go.
Exactly, because I think rubbish in, rubbish out.
It's true. It's true.
If your commands are wrong, then it will give you both answers.
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah,
it's very true.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much, brother.
Yeah.
Wanna hear you go.